Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a very large storm system that's going to be moving its way into the southern Canadian areas and northern United States. But it will be bringing impacts all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico with cooler air temperatures and potentially igniting several rounds of severe weather. In the meantime though, I will also be going over the precipitation graphics and what will be going on till then, as this will be occurring during the weekend. That's upcoming. So let's jump right into it by looking at the Weather Ready Nation map, the National Weather Service. Do note that right now we have quite a bit of air quality alerts that are pretty stubbornly sticking around for a good portion of the Midwest, the Northeast. These will continue to stay for the early part of this week as those wildfires from Canada continue pouring the smoke into the United States. Obviously, the threat of flooding across the Southeast has been pretty significant. That will continue, unfortunately, for those that have been washed with the rain already. If you could take a look at some of these areas in Georgia, the most of the early part and even into the late part of the week shows showers almost on a daily occurrence. Red flag warnings and heat warnings and fire danger across the West will be leading to quite a bit of fire dangers across the West that we'll have to watch for, especially as we get towards that fire danger season, that peak of it, which would be late summer and into the early fall before the winter rains and snow come. Do note that right now on the GFS map, we are looking at a relatively quiet overall. I mean, we do have, again, the areas across the Southeast that are dealing with the precipitation and flooding, but we also have quite a bit of activity kicking up across Montana, Wyoming, those severe thunderstorms. Nothing extraordinary. It is a slight risk on the Storm Prediction Center. It is ranked a 2 out of the 5, so you can see it's a pretty large area. And into tomorrow, into Tuesday, this continues across the Dakotas. Again, the threats are mainly going to be for wind and hail. Tornado, pretty small. And if you look at the threat for today, it's also very similar. We have mainly a threat for wind and hail. Notice that the Southeast is going to stay active. So as I put this forward into Wednesday, Thursday, we have that precipitation continuing. It won't be an all-day soaking event for most of these areas, but some areas will get rain every single day. Others won't. But that's the characteristic of these features. It's just kind of like almost a flare-up during the day, a bit of a settling period during the night. But the rain accompanying the Southeast quite viciously into Friday, Saturday, and notice potentially even some sort of tropical system trying to develop there by Saturday. Not a tropical storm or hurricane by any means, but just something that could reinforce that rain even more. And as I put this forward further and further into time, it seems that the Southeast will remain active. Look at the total accumulated precipitation. Lots of rain for you guys. But notice that there's quite a bit of rain across the north as well, and that's where we are going to start talking about this upcoming storm that I have talked about in the title. So do note that right now we do have a smaller system already occurring, again contributing all that severe weather across the West, the Montana, Wyoming, and the South Dakota area, North Dakota area. But this will continue moving away and won't contribute to a large, circulation period or area of circulation, unlike this next one. So Thursday, we see a large wave of precipitation move into British Columbia and into the northwestern United States around late Wednesday to Thursday, August the 7th. And we do have a southerly flow that kind of takes shape in its wake of this little first system, and what that does is it allows a lot of these winds to act favorably for a low pressure development and more severe storm development, more severe than what we're seeing today. There will probably be an enhanced, maybe even a moderate risk from this this storm system that's coming across the southern Canadian areas. And note that by Friday, it's already getting organized. We have waves of showers across Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and into the northern North Dakota, pretty far north there. But as this system continues to develop, has a strong southerly flow on the backside of this, a stubborn high pressure on the east, so that also contributes to continuing rain across the southeast. But it also allows the system to have a lot of hot air in front of it. And if you look at the anomalies, it's going to be warm across much of these areas during the day on Friday and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday. And these temperatures, aside from behind a low pressure system where there's going to be cool air, they are going to be very, very hot and very humid, unfortunately. Notice that by Saturday into Sunday, this thing is taking off. It is developing into a circulation that is kind of rare to see during the summer months, because usually the circulation is weaker and there isn't the jet stream there to support it. But at this time of the year, August, it's already almost early, not mid-August yet, but soon it will be mid-August before we even before we even blink our eyes. And this will allow for a little bit of a more low pressure formation that you'd see in late fall. And notice that it has a pretty well-defined cold front to the south of it, which is going to be the main contributor for severe weather across, say, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. And in fact, the Storm Prediction Center does already have an area of severe weather issued for that day on Friday. On the 5th, you could see, or day 5 of their outlook. Not a massive area, but I guarantee you that's going to probably turn into an enhanced, and the main threat for that is going to be wind, but potentially even tornadoes, especially with such a large system being attached to it. So this thing circulates and brings showers to Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois into Saturday and into Sunday. Notice at this point it turns into a pretty large system. It's a closed off low pressure, so it doesn't strengthen rapidly, but it meanders, and basically all it needs is a little bit of daytime heating, a little bit of instability, and along this cold front we have showers that are going to be firing off into Saturday, Sunday once it leaves the Midwest, and then it combines with the southeast moisture, and you can see it sets off, it almost stalls out across Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Missouri, into southeast Canada, and those showers continue with quite a bit of vigor into next week. And before that low pressure fully moves off, and in its wake we just have these little showers and bands of precipitation, and we are also left with more normal, more seasonal temperatures. Not really a massive cool down, but at least the heat is gone. In terms of the total accumulated precipitation, you can see that the areas are going to be, again, mainly the Midwest, upper Midwest. The precipitation graphics for storms like these are usually pretty bad because these thunderstorms are really hard to track, but it gives you a good idea of where the models are favoring the thunderstorm development, as where the thunderstorms are usually occurs the heaviest of the rain. So now I want to take a look at the European model. It is another model that I like to look at, and notice that it has also very similar setup in terms of the weather for the southeast, getting quite a bit of precipitation in the next few days, and that continuing stubbornly round after round. Notice we do have that band of showers and storms that develops across the Midwest, that first low pressure system, but that's not the main one that I'm focused on in the video, as that one will bring a little bit of severe weather, which it is contributing now. We saw across the National Weather Service Weather Ready Nation map, but the big one right here again, Thursday and into Friday, developing across the upper Midwest, northwestern United States, the Dakotas, Minnesota, and do note we have with this many different areas of showers, storms, potential for severe weather. We have a high pressure that drives in behind it, so this forces this low pressure to, again, kind of become weaker and more closed off from any of the moisture from the south. But regardless, there's enough moisture even from evapotranspiration from the corn plants across the Midwest at this time of the year, where you could see the system's way up here. The European does a very good job of showing just how coiled it is across Saskatchewan, Manitoba here, and into into Alberta. Alberta at this point it would have left, but mainly Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And notice that it continues producing, especially in the evening times and overnight, these clusters of showers and storms across the Midwest. This continues into Sunday and Saturday as it spreads its cold front, and again it almost becomes fully stalled out with the help of this high pressure, and we see storms firing off across the central United States for several days here, across into Monday and Tuesday of next week, before it kind of dries out a little bit more and we see another system in its wake gather that moisture and produce more precipitation. So an active pattern for sure remains. And if you're to take a look at the total accumulated precipitation, notice that the areas that it's going to be targeting is, again, a lot of the upper Midwest, especially across Canada where that low pressure system stalls out. But, a few of these areas could definitely get 3, 4, 5 inches if the precipitation bands go over the same areas, which when it stalls out, it looks like as if it may be doing that. So again, the biggest risk for precipitation across the upper Midwest is really into this week, but further south into the lower Midwest and Great Lakes region starts Thursday, Friday, and continues into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with those storms. The southeast remains active during this whole entire time with showers, storms, and potentially even some sort of a tropical disturbance trying to form there towards the beginning of the weekend. And the northeast will get in on some of that action towards the late part of the weekend and early next week. That basically covers everything I wanted to cover. Again, not a crazy active week for a good portion of the United States, excluding the south and the beginning of this storm development across the upper Midwest. And that's all I have for you today, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. I'll catch you all in the next episode. See ya. Bye.